The Warzone had been silent for exactly 17 minutes. Not the calm kind of silence, but the kind that existed only after entire civilizations had stopped transmitting. Wreckage drifted through the void like frozen screams, shattered hulls of a dozen conquered species slowly tumbling in the darkness. The enemy armada known as the Car Dominion believed the battle was already over. They had exterminated every resistance fleet that dared to stand between them and total galactic supremacy. The Dominion did not fear retaliation. No species had ever returned after witnessing their opening assault. Entire solar systems were reduced to ash through precision stellar bombardment. The Car believed Terra was the ultimate weapon. Then the sensors screamed. At first, the readings made no sense. Gravitational spikes bloomed across the edge of the system, too massive to be natural. Energy signatures stacked on top of each other like impossible mountains. The Dominion commanders assumed malfunction, until space itself began to fold inward. Humanity arrived without warning. No dramatic speeches, no warning broadcasts, no ritual challenge. Just a synchronized translation from hyperspace by over 3,000 warships. Each vessel bristling with weapons that bent known physics into submission. The Car fleet froze. Their tactical doctrine had no answer for an enemy that ignored intimidation. Human vessels did not arrange themselves defensively. They formed attack vectors immediately, as if they had already simulated this war 1,000,000 times before. A single transmission echoed across all frequencies, calm and unmistakably human. "You have crossed a line." And then the battle began. The first human volley erased the Dominion's forward scouts in less than a second. Not disabled, not damaged, erased. Mass driver rounds accelerated to relativistic speed tore through capital ships like paper. Directed energy beams carved surgical lines through shields that were once thought invincible. The Car attempted to regroup. They unleashed their signature Terra weapons, reality-shredding cannons designed to collapse morale as much as matter. Human ships did not retreat. Their shields flared once, adapted instantly, and absorbed the attack. Artificial intelligence, commanders aboard the human fleet recalculated battle parameters faster than organic thought. Countermeasures deployed before the enemy could even register success. Human fleets moved with terrifying coordination, each ship acting independently yet perfectly synchronized. Dominion carriers exploded in chain detonations. Their fighter swarms were annihilated by automated defense grids that never missed. Electronic warfare suites hijacked enemy communications, replacing command channels with silence. For the first time in recorded history, the Car felt fear. Not abstract fear, but survival terror. The realization that this enemy was not improvising. They were executing. Humanity was not fighting to survive. Humanity was cleansing. Human military philosophy was simple. Wars should end before the enemy understands they have begun. Every human captain knew the objective was not victory, but erasure. Planet Cracker missiles launched from extreme range. Not aimed at worlds, but at ship clusters dense enough to justify the yield. The vacuum burned white as artificial singularities bloomed and collapsed. Entire battle groups vanished without debris. The Dominion attempted a desperate retreat. Hyperdrive signatures flared across the battlefield. Human interdiction arrays activated instantly. Space itself became a cage. One Dominion admiral broadcast a surrender plea. The transmission cut off halfway through. Human rules of engagement allowed no survival of exterminators. History would later record that the battle lasted 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Not because humanity was rushed, but because that was how long it took to remove every hostile signature from existence. When the final Dominion flagship detonated, the Warzone returned to silence. A different kind of silence. The kind left behind when predators are gone forever. Humanity did not cheer. There was no celebration. The fleet remained in formation, weapons still hot, sensors wide open. Automated probes deployed across the battlefield. Recording everything. Preserving evidence. Because humanity understood something the galaxy did not. Someone would ask why. A single broadcast was transmitted on open galactic channels, translated into every known language, and several unknown ones. This is the cost of genocide. Remember them. Remember us. The human fleet did not pursue territory, did not claim spoils, did not establish dominance. They left, leaving behind only wreckage, radiation scars, and a lesson burned into the collective consciousness of the galaxy. In the centuries that followed, no empire rose without studying that battle. No war council planned aggression without calculating the human response. The phrase immediate human intervention became synonymous with extinction. Humanity never expanded by force. They did not need to. Their reputation traveled faster than any fleet. Survivor species rebuilt their worlds under an unspoken protection, knowing that somewhere beyond the stars, there existed a civilization that responded to annihilation with finality. The Car Dominion passed into legend, not as conquerors, but as a warning. And when children across the galaxy asked why no one tried again, their elders answered simply, because humanity already showed us what happens. The galaxy did not change overnight. Civilizations rarely do. Fear lingered long after the human fleet vanished beyond known space. Trade routes remained empty. Border defenses stayed active for generations. At first, no one believed the truth of what had happened. The recordings were dismissed as exaggeration. Propaganda created by survivors desperate to invent a savior. After all, no single species had ever erased a dominant empire in minutes. Then the forensic data was analyzed. Independent observers reconstructed the battle using residual spacetime scars. Quantum echoes revealed weapon signatures never catalogued before. The mathematics alone shattered long-held assumptions about the limits of technology. Humanity had not just defeated the Dominion. They had ignored the rules everyone else believed were absolute. Academies rewrote their doctrines. Historians coined new terms to describe the engagement. Total presence warfare, predictive extermination, zero-tolerance response. But none of those terms captured the truth. The truth was simpler and far more terrifying. Humanity had reached a point where war was no longer a gamble. They knew the outcome before the first shot. Long-range observation eventually located the human fleet's origin vector. It led not to an empire, not to a vast, armada-controlled region, but to a surprisingly compact territory, a civilization that had chosen restraint. Human space was fortified. Yes, but not expanded endlessly. There were no slave systems, no conquered client species. Instead, there were treaties, strict boundaries, and an alarming amount of preparation. Human industry was not optimized for conquest. It was optimized for response. Shipyards built vessels designed to launch within minutes. Factories stockpiled munitions they hoped never to use. Artificial intelligences ran endless simulations against hypothetical threats that did not yet exist. The galaxy began to understand. Humanity had not built an empire because they did not need one. They had built a shield and a sword that only moved when absolutely necessary. Recovered human records eventually surfaced through diplomatic channels. Fragments of philosophy embedded in military doctrine. One phrase repeated across centuries of development. If extinction is threatened, hesitation is immoral. That sentence unsettled every council that read it, because it revealed something deeper than aggression. It revealed responsibility. Humanity did not see itself as a ruler of the galaxy. They saw themselves as a failsafe, a final answer to species that believed genocide was a strategy. The realization changed everything. Border wars ended abruptly, not because humans intervened, but because no one wanted to test the threshold. New laws emerged across the stars. Rules against total war. Rules against extermination campaigns. Rules written not out of morality, but out of survival. Some species resented humanity for this. They whispered that humans were tyrants hiding behind virtue, that the Dominion had been an example made too extreme. Then another would-be conqueror rose, a smaller power, ambitious, convinced the humans would not bother responding. They began systematic eradication of frontier worlds. Humanity responded in exactly 4 minutes. No speech, no warning, no debate. The aggressor vanished. Their homeworld reduced to an uninhabitable relic. Their fleets erased so thoroughly that historians later struggled to confirm they had existed at all. The message was unmistakable. Humanity was not watching some wars. They were watching all of them. From that point on, peace became less an ideal and more a condition. A fragile but enforced equilibrium, maintained not by domination, but by certainty. Children across the galaxy grew up under a strange comfort, knowing there was a line no one dared cross, knowing that monsters could exist, but only briefly. Humanity returned to silence once more. Their fleets docked, their weapons powered down, simulations continuing quietly in the background. They did not ask for gratitude. They did not demand tribute. They prepared, because humanity understood something the galaxy was still learning. Peace is not the absence of weapons. It is the presence of resolve. And somewhere in the dark between stars, the universe remembered.